You've invested money, you've hired the team, you follow every step all the gurus told you. But instead of the ease they promised you, every single day feels like an uphill battle. See, you might be praying for a breakthrough, waiting faithfully, but the ROI just isn't showing up in your bank account the way it's supposed to. So if you're exhausted from trying everything and quietly wondering why God hasn't stepped in yet, I want to show you why your heart is actually blocking your harvest. Today, we are going to talk about the one spiritual misalignment that makes even the best business strategy feel like a burden that you weren't meant to carry. Hi, my name is Sandra. And over the past 7 years, I've worked with high achieving women who want to turn their passion into a profitable business. See, you've probably been asking God to bless your work, but is it possible that you're doing that work entirely on your own, therefore making it way harder than it needs to be? Let's look at the pattern that you might be having right now. You wake up, you check your emails, and immediately you feel the weight of the world on your shoulder. You are grinding, you are posting, you are launching, and you are doing all the things. But here's the question. Are you treating God like a fire extinguisher, like 911, instead of a partner? Maybe you call on him when your bank statement gets bad. Maybe you call on him when there's an emergency or something went terribly wrong. This is what I call having God as your 911 and consultant. Because if you've built a strategy, hired the team, and did all the things, and then you just want him to bless what you've done, he's a consultant. Because when you build the house yourself, you are the one that has the responsibility to now maintain it. And let's be real, that can become exhausting because there's a massive difference between consulting God and partnering with God. I saw this at play in my own life when I put together my first retreat. I had heard God say I should do a retreat. And I took that idea and I ran with it. Ran with it, put it together, built the website and everything, figure out the pricing. And I charge way, way lower than I should have. I charge $199 for a 3 day retreat that included food, speakers, and housing. And after that retreat, when I heard God 9 months later saying it's time to do another retreat, I said, wait, hold on, time out. How are we going to do that? Because I'm still paying out of pocket for that last retreat that put me in the red. And he said to me something, and he said, don't project your lack of faith on me. I never told you to charge $199, which was true. He had never told me, I had never asked. I didn't think to ask about those details. I didn't realize that having the Holy Spirit was my superpower, was the thing that would change everything for me. My best business idea, my book names, my program names have come, this channel have come from the whisper of the Holy Spirit. And to understand that he cares about the details, not just the big idea and how I build it, and is more than happy to tell me, to share with me, to give me all these downloads. I didn't realize that. And that cost me stress and hours and money and influence and all the things, had me chasing the wrong things, not realizing that he would open up doors for me, that all I had to do was to listen and obey and ask him. Somebody said the other day that he's a gentleman. You know, he won't force his will on you. So remember that effort without alignment will actually exhaust you. Alignment and that connection with God makes everything so much easier. Alignment means that you are building what God told you to. You are serving who God told you to serve. You are moving when God tells you to move. You are resting when God tells you to rest. And I know that can be so hard for my high achieving women. And when you align, that work feels easier. I'm reminded of what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 11, verse 30. He said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Not because there was no work, but because he was not carrying it alone. So how do you move from God as your 911 and your consultant to a true partnership? Stop asking God to bless your plan and start asking God for his plans. I remember hearing Oprah say, my prayer for myself is to stand in the middle of God's dream for my life. And I thought that was beautiful. That's my prayer for you as well. And for myself, to stand in the midst of God's dream for our lives, for my life, because he can dream bigger dreams, better dreams, smarter dreams, better strategies that I can ever do for myself. See, The other thing is, this also means trusting him and trusting ideas. There are ideas that God asked me to do, like a daily series that I do on Instagram. And now it's part of my program. But at the time, he said, like, I want to teach you things and I want you to share them with your audience. And that didn't make sense because I was a business coach. So it's like my audience doesn't want to hear about our private conversation. But I knew better at that time than to argue. That those teachings are now YouTube shorts here. It became the lesson plan for what we use for this channel. He knew about this channel before I ever thought or dreamt of having this channel. If you had asked me for my plans for my life, this was not part of the vision and the dream that I saw for myself. But again, trusting that he has better, bigger dreams, better, bigger strategies, and his timing. He knew that for 2 months before I ever launched this, there was teaching and training that he wanted me to have. He knew that this daily series would prepare me for this moment. His strategy. He's our superpower. Remember that you are called, you are loved, and you're equipped, not to build alone, but to build with him. And when you do that, the weight lifts. If this resonated with you, hit subscribe because every week we go even deeper on what it looks like to have an integrated life. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you been consulting God or partnering with him? Let's talk about it.